Howdy, howdy. Bradley J here. Today we're going to be covering areas and resources and how to use them in Notion to separate your life into as many sections as you need to be focused and clear on what you're supposed to do. So inside Notion, it is a free-form organization system, meaning that you can organize literally any aspect of your life. And that comes with a whole bunch of risks. Am I going to organize the right way? Is the stuff I want to see all in the same space, or is it just one big cluttered mess? So when we're working with such a big system like my life, I have a whole bunch of different sections in there. I have hobbies, I have reading behind me, I have work, I have my home, and I have a whole bunch of different contracting stuff that I do with remodeling. Inside of that, I want to separate that so if I'm focusing on remodeling, I'm not actually getting cluttered up by my daily home life. And when I get home, I'm able to focus on what I'm doing at home, whether I have a project there or whether I just need to reference what my Wi-Fi password is, So you're able to build it out and separate it based on where you are so that you can focus on what's important right then. And the way that it works out, it does draw inspiration heavily from Tiago Forte's PARA method. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it stands for projects, areas, resources, and archive. Basically, anything that you have multiple tasks for should be turned into a project. That way everything is grouped under a specific actionable objective. Next up is areas, which is specifically anything that has activities associated with it. We're not going to put just any old information in an area. That's what resources come into play. And the way that you can see it is it's a collection of related information within an area of your life, and it holds all of the notes related to that area, or related to that topic. So, for example, here are some examples of areas. Down here, you'll see that the area life admin, well, I can have a whole bunch of projects to manage my life. It's around tax season with April. If you haven't done your taxes yet, you probably should. It's April 4th at this point, but that would fall under the life admin section. If you have to collect a whole bunch of documents, you can create a project around that, and then when you have time, you would complete that once the taxes are filed, something like that. Similarly, under work, you have a whole bunch of projects that you could be doing at any given time. Your work is as infinitely wide as my mind, so feel free to create as many projects as you need to organize your work and separate it into clear enough sections where groups of tasks are together, but you don't want it to be broad enough where each project only has one or two tasks. That just gets kind of cluttered and you're moving through projects more than you should because it's specific to an objective, and if you're not accomplishing that objective or the objective is too small, it might make more sense to bundle it into a broader topic or a broader project and create just tasks with subtasks underneath of it. In order to attach a project, though, it does have to go to an area. Again, areas are specific to activities. And we are going to get slightly technical in the way that we use this part of our system. It is the most philosophical by nature, so it is kind of the hardest to understand at first, but once this clicks, it will make everything else click together, I promise. So moving it on down, as I mentioned, resources are a collection of information related to an area. If we have the life admin area, an example of a resource would be life notes. And it's really beneficial if you separate your areas and resources with a dash. That way, anytime you're in the system and you need to search for a specific resource, all you have to do is start off by typing that area, and that'll pull up all of the area, or it will pull up that area as well as all of the resources that you've named like that. So for life admin, I have life notes. Under work, we have work notes. And that's what's actually starting you down in the category. Work is professional, personal is life admin. And you'll see that there's one project associated with that work area. We'll get into that in a little bit. And you can see one project related to that life admin. If we move on down to the resources, you'll see that there's one resource, and I prefer list. You'll see one resource for the professional area section under the work notes. And it doesn't have any starting notes under there. That's something that you have to create, of course. Same thing for life notes. This is where you would house anything for broad life organization. If you wanted to add a note specifically to your life admin area, you certainly can, but that should be something that you reference to that area all the time. You're able to separate your organization based on essentially subfolders like you would in Google Drive or OneDrive. So if you're trying to or you're trying to add everything to your area, you certainly can, but it definitely makes more sense to separate it into specific resources. So under life, you might have life-hobby, and that could be a resource to group all of your hobby notes together. Or you might have life dental. If you plan on using this for many years like I do, you're going to have a long record of organization where you're able to just build it out and be very specific and create a history of where you've been with that specific area of your life. You're able to get very detailed and remember what's important to you so you never really forget to pay that bill. But continuing on down with the the tutorial, getting a little more philosophical, unlike projects, tasks, and goals, areas don't have a defined endpoint. Instead, they represent continuous parts of your life. Multiple projects, tasks, and goals can fall under a single area, making it the top level to help you organize and relate different activities of your life around a common topic. It's kind of a mouthful, but essentially that says that an area never ends. Projects do, tasks do, and goals should be able to be achieved. So all of those things can fall under an area because it's an activity. Similar to resources, areas don't end. Neither do resources, meaning you can add as many notes as you want to build out your resources how you need. So when you're working on different projects in the future, trying to do certain tasks or work towards a specific goal, you have those resources created under a specific area, and you're able to call those in at any moment to help you accomplish that. Similar to Mary Poppins being able to reach into her bag and just pull out whatever she needs right when she needs it. That's the idea behind area and resources. And opening up this disclaimer, we're going to get slightly technical real quick. But once you understand this side of the things, it will make a whole lot of sense. Just remember that areas and resources are very similar to a normal file system used in standard computers, just a little bit more accessible and flexible. And because of that flexibility, it is important to use that organization system I talked about earlier, which kind of helps keep it a little bit organized while still being as flexible as you need. So, this one is a little bit confusing in the way that you assign resources in areas. To eliminate the need for multiple properties and reduce the bloat, remember this is Notion, we want to keep it clean and see only what we want to see. Areas and resources are contained in the same database and only separated by a category type of resource or area. So under the page links, you'll see that all of the views for the individual pages are here. But under the database, there's a single database. And the way that we're able to decide whether something is an area or a resource is over here. You click that template and it'll create an area. You click the resource template and it'll create a resource, of course. There's 2 templates for each of those, but if you wanted to create something off the wall and have it actually be a resource, you can click that and click over resource, but it realistically is just easier to press the template button. That's kind of why I created it, for ease. So when you create a new resource, you'll see that it pulls up either professional or personal. I believe it starts off as professional. And then all of your resource notes are going to be right here. You can add little quick notes if you come to it and you want to reference something for a couple weeks. Don't create a whole note for it. Don't clutter up your system. Just create a little quick note for what you're working on at that moment. Favorite any notes under this resource and come to it whenever you need. To add notes, you can add it similar to any page in Notion where you add it using the buttons under the properties. You can reference any note in your system, or when you're in the Notes hub, you already have those areas and resources created, so when you're in the notes processing, you're able to assign it specifically to that area. That way when you come to it later, it's already there for you to wait, or for you waiting for you. So yeah, areas and resources, as I said, are separated based on a category. You see professional and personal. Areas are up top, resources are on bottom, and there is a quick list on each side over here. I'm going to delete this template. As you saw, it's going to not delete the note. That's very important because notes are stored somewhere else and just related together. So when I delete this resource, it's not really going to do anything other than delete it. And if I wanted to add that note to something else, it is pretty easy to do so. I'll show you how now. So this is going to be a test resource where to show you an example of how if you press the wrong button, how you can get it where you need it to be properly. So if this is an area note, I'm going to add that note right there. You'll see that it pops up and adjusts the note count. But oh boy, it's actually a resource. That's not good. This is supposed to be an area. It's a test area after all. So when I delete everything and click that new button, it's still going to have the area note attached to it, but I have to come down to the notes board in order to see it because it's now under this area instead of a specific resource. And I'll show you how you can reverse it by just deleting everything that's a template, press the resource button, and you'll see it under the resource. And it doesn't pull up, of course, because it's not under a specific category, but it's down here under the resource notes. We will get into the notes processing later. I just wanted to show you how to cycle between resources and areas so that everything is understood. Now, when you're creating a new area, you can press this button and create. We'll do hobby number 1, which is disc golf. I haven't played disc golf in many years, but it sounds like a good area to have. Let's do a disc and add it to, there we go, flying disc. So now we have our quick area up here. You'll see that it's a basic area template. I don't have any projects going on. I'm not going for any tournaments or anything fun like that. I'm not seeking out anything, trying to build my notes. It's just a very basic area. But I do know I have a tournament coming up. Oops, it's not a professional, so let's turn that to personal. Unless I was a professional frisbee player, but I'm definitely not a professional discer. So I'm going to put that personal resource, and because I started that area with the word hobby, I would do hobby and tournaments. Or I might even do it to make it a little bit easier to organize, competitions. There we go. So hobby competitions. And now anytime I have notes related to a competition, I can come over here and say disc golf scoring guide, create a new note right inside that area, so anytime I'm talking to my friends about how you score disc golf and all that, I'd be able to come to this area and see that any notes I have here, a disc is worth points. Somebody please tell me how you play disc golf because it's been quite some time, but disc is worth points, so anytime I come to the hobby resource, I'd be able to see that note, disc golf scoring guide. And it's still not linked, it's actually separate. We only named it similar, so metal, I'm going to do metal right there. So the hobby competitions, in order to link it to the hobby disc golf, you have to go into that actual area and relate it to the resource. So hobby competitions. Once it's related, I'm going to pop it off again to show you the quick area, and you'll see that because this hobby area, or this hobby resource, it's very important. I keep messing it up, I'm sorry guys. But the resource for hobby competitions, you saw me add that one note to it earlier. Because I attached that resource to this area, it shows how many total resource notes I have. So if I come into this one, and there's more notes on disc golf courses, you'll see that this note count goes up, and when I come over to the disc golf area, the total resource notes count right here shows 2 because it updated based on what it's related to. If you come down to the notes board or the resource notes, you'll see that based on the resource over here, hobby competitions, I'll open it full screen for you guys. If we come over to the resource notes, you'll see those 2 notes that I just added for you, or that I created. And based on the resources that are linked, it shows the resource notes available to me. So when I'm working on projects related to this area, I can just reference the disc golf courses and the scoring guide directly inside this page. If I add anything, I could add it as well. But this is about areas and resources and how to link them. If I wanted to create a new one, it does automatically link based on that button. So I would do hobby based on, we'll do hobby gear. And you'll be able to add in notes regarding your disc golf set. And you can create a note directly into it. This is a resource, as I mentioned again. One more example. You'll see that it's already added, and you'll see that the total resource notes is now increased to reflect what we just added. So that's basically area and resources as an overview. There is a little bit more explanation onto why it's separated into a single database. It does kind of get a little bit confusing, but as we go through the projects, tasks, and goals, you're going to understand how to add everything so it's very clear under that one page. And it is going to make a lot of sense. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, leave them in the comments, and I will answer whatever I get. I hope this makes the most sense, so please let me know what you got, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Talk to you soon.